All right. Well, let's get started here. Welcome to the Figure It Out podcast. I am Max, your host. We are interviewing people from different careers so I can figure out what I want to do with my life. Today we've got Bri Oseland, the program coordinator for Urban Boatbuilders in St. Paul, Minnesota. Urban Boatbuilders is a local nonprofit that empowers youth to succeed in work and life through woodworking and experiential learning. Bri has spent most of their life teaching in some capacity, both in the United States and abroad in New Zealand and France. Bri, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you for coming out and making the trek from St. Paul to Minneapolis and finding parking.
Yeah,
It's
right outside. Thank God.
It's amazing. I feel like Minneapolis is like pretty dead, but the North Loop seems to be like very busy. I feel like I can never find parking when I'm down here. So, well, thank you again for taking the time. Let's start out. What do you do? How long have you been doing it? What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah.
Give me the whole story.
Yeah. So, the usual emails, going to meetings. That's always a given.
Yeah.
But I coordinate and I teach. My day-to-day is mostly like teaching in the evening with my apprentices and kind of being a facilitator of woodworking.
Okay.
And we're building wooden boats. They're skin-on frame boats. And I kind of have to plan before that time. And so I'll try to plan out my week, but sometimes we get done with things or we don't get done with things the day before. So I have to check in on my plan and see what really needs to happen. I also look for opportunities for the apprentices so that after they're done with us, we're like a workforce training program. So I'm trying to get them to get good jobs after they leave us in the trades. Whether it's welding or carpentry or, there's so many trades out there.
Yeah.
So just looking for those opportunities. And then I also attend, lead tours and events outside and inside of the wood shop for other people that are interested in possibly coming or want to see our place. And then we also have youth instructors that kind of can step up in their pay too. And so right before everyone else comes, I meet with them and I kind of guide them on what they're doing that day and talk about teaching with them and how they can best reach the other apprentices on that day. So but I've been doing it for 4 years now, 4.5, I think, at Urban Boatbuilders. And what else were you wondering about that too?
So let's talk about Urban Boatbuilders as a model, right? Because so you have apprentices that come to you guys and
they get paid.
Okay. And their objective is to build boats.
Yes.
And they learn, I assume, a ton about woodworking in that process and all that kind of stuff. How long is a cohort and what ultimately do they learn throughout that experience?
Yeah. One thing to add to their learning too is like, boats are kind of like the medium to like get them in the door.
Yeah.
And woodworking. But honestly, it's like to get them to know about themselves and what they want to do in their future and mentor and guide them. Like it's a workforce training program, like I said. So giving them all those opportunities to think and discuss and then also build their resume, right? So we do fellowships too with like Harbor Freight. And so they can add things to their resume in that way if they get chosen for that. But Urban Boatbuilders overall, there's actually 2 veins. We're the apprenticeship side, and we hire people, we interview them. Oh, I also have to do their paperwork when we onboarding. That's fun. And then there's another vein of Urban Boatbuilders. It's the partnership side.
Okay.
And that's where we bring the wood shop to like a school or community center or a group. And like I was actually in that vein for quite a few years.
Okay.
And I was the coordinator for the partnership side, and I would like be in a school in the art room building a boat, and we would have to store everything in the closet, and then I'd come back in the after school program or whatever and pull out all the boat building stuff. And there we go. We bring the wood shop to the place.
That's really cool. I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah. So we're always looking for opportunities. We've traveled all the way up to like International Falls and Alexandria, Minnesota, and then of course tons in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
And Urban Boatbuilders has been around for 30 years. There's so many like lesson plans and reiterations of what we've done that have progressed in our ideas both in like the apprenticeship and expanding that. And we used to start with just one cohort. We now have 2 cohorts. So I have another person I can kind of reflect off of because they teach the days that I don't teach. And,
Nice.
Yeah.
So how many apprentices are typically in a cohort?
12.
12. Okay.
And then we have two cohorts, so 24 total.
24 total. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long is the program start to finish?
Right. They're semester long. They go by the St. Paul Public Schools kind of semester. And then we also throw another one in there in the summer. So it's kind of like a trimester.
Sure.
We also offer a week-long Boundary Waters trip for free for anyone who's been through the cohort.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do they take the boats that they build?
Yep.
Okay.
They take the boats they build. We also outfit with another place. So
Yeah.
we bring ours, but then we also have to use some of their, and they cook for us and they know the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of time it's their first trip up there. Sometimes not, but we also soft start with like an overnight trip in the city.
Smart. Yeah. Smart to not just throw them into the literal wilderness.
I was explaining the trip to people we hadn't really introduced the idea yet. And I was like, well, you go there and like they have a map and they're like, oh, there's the campsite. But let's go see if anybody's already there. Then you go, oh, there's someone's there. We got to keep going. And like talking about the campfire situation and the toilet situation in the Boundary Waters, they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of out there.
It's very out there. Yeah. I went on a Boundary Waters trip, I think 3 years ago now. And I've got a couple of good friends that don't really do camping. And I was like, it's fun. Like I grew up going to summer camp and doing like these trips. Like it'll be the most fun. And then my friend who was a counselor at the summer camp that I grew up going to, she was coming with us. So I was like, she's led these trips before. Like it's going to be great. Yeah. And they were like, okay, yeah, that sounds fun. And then they were like, yeah, but where do we stay when we're there? And I was like, yeah, I've got a couple extra tents. And they were like, oh, we're out.
Really,
like,
just the tents? Okay.
They were like in the bathroom, and I was like, they're vault toilets, and they were like, I don't know what that means, and that scares me, so we're good. And I was like,
it's over a hill. There's no walls. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I was like,
you get a sign if the toilet's there. Toilet paper's there, then don't go up there, or it's open or whatever. But
exactly, I said you get real good at the mosquito brush, trying to keep the mosquitoes off you while you go to the bathroom. It's a skill. You'll get there. So yeah, I can imagine that you have some people that, I mean, smart to have them do one overnight or smaller trip before just
in a tent. Yeah,
throwing them in there
because it's also like an opportunity that you don't find in a lot of places for that silence, as we know. Like a lot of if you've been there, like.
Yeah, very lucky to live in a place that has that like pretty close by. Yeah. So that's great. So it's semester long, 12 people. What ages? I mean, you said you work with the public school. So are we like high school ages? Are we beyond high school? What ages?
Both. It's a variety. So it's 16 to 21, and we try to hire people that are interested in getting into the trades, and they know that. But sometimes. Like people are exploring still. They're still young. And so they're not 100% sure. And if they're willing to learn and a good fit, then we also hire them. So,
yeah. So it's really, I mean, you're teaching and you're trying to give them this kind of, it seems like mentorship of, here's some self-exploration, and then also woodworking, and also making sure that nobody loses a finger in the shop.
No blood.
No blood. Yeah. So that's a lot of responsibility.
But it happens.
Hey, those saw stops are amazing.
And we are using mostly hand tools to build the boat.
Okay.
I think we have a great volunteer crew that makes the kits per se, so all the parts for the boats. Then after that, our apprentices use, I think a drill is the biggest motor, like power tool that we use to build the boat. So it's all hand tools, block planes, spoke shaves.
Wow.
Even learning how to use a clamp and a measuring tape and stuff like that.
So. Yeah. That's awesome. I was telling Nate earlier, I was like, he was like, oh, who are you interviewing? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, they're urban boat builders. I said, I think it's like the humane version of Holes. Like, I think that they really learn about themselves through this experience. And he was like, that's probably a good way to put it. So that's how I described it.
I haven't read or seen that in a hot minute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, walk me through kind of your career progression. So you've done a bunch of different things. How did you, and especially like I'm curious to know why you switched veins within Urban Boat Builders. So bring me all the way back. How did you get here?
Sure. I graduated with my teaching degree, and then I got into um, working. I wanted to like give back to like a tribal community because I got sponsored for my college for that, and so I became a liaison um, for down in Shakopee and between an education liaison for the community members there. And so that meant like going into the schools, making sure the parents and the teachers and our expectations kind of were all met and the students' expectations, and everything was going good there. And then after doing that for almost, well, we don't need to say how many years, but I became a teacher. I really wanted to try teaching, and I taught fourth grade for 5 years. And I taught through the pandemic for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I never got to meet some of my students.
That's crazy.
It was through Zoom, and that was a whole thing. And it just felt, I loved it. But after the pandemic, I kind of was like, okay, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I also have always wanted to try. I've always kind of thought about being a carpenter ever since I was younger. I love working with my hands. And then I saw this opportunity, and I was like, teaching and access to a wood shop and these boats. And I'd never heard of Urban Boat Builders. And I applied and I got it. And I was at the partnership side and really enjoyed it. I got to teach. We also do longboards in the partnership side, and they get to keep their longboard. And I got to be creative. I got to teach. There was a little less paperwork, no grading per se, not as much grading.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then just this past year, someone who was in our apprenticeship side was going to go back to school. And I was like, well, you get to work with a little bit older crowd because the partnership sometimes is middle school to high school.
Sure.
And they get to repeat. So you really get to know the apprentices and get to know, kind of mentor them a little more than just like a one-off boat build
Yeah.
or longboard build. And that attracted me to that side of it. So
yeah, because you really get them for the whole semester, so you really get to
and they can repeat
really
up
see
to
them,
4
and they
times.
can read it. Okay,
Yeah, they can come back up to 4.
Wow. What's the
of the
repeat rate?
semesters.
Is that like pretty common?
Yeah, so when they come back, they get a raise of 50 cents, and they have a little bit more responsibility.
Okay, yeah.
So you start off as a junior apprentice, and you're just a beginner. You don't know any of the tools. Then senior, you come in and you might be able to like work more independently on some of the projects, and also like take a small group occasionally and be like, hey, we're gonna work together on this, and kind of lead, but you don't have to. But you just are seen as more of someone that people can go to with questions. And then there's the youth instructor is the third level, the third bump up, and you can repeat that twice and get a raise. And we meet with you beforehand, and we say, you're going to totally lead this group. And what kind of questions do you have before you start leading that? Have you done this part of the boat build? And I want to make sure you're comfortable. And they also have to take on a mini lesson of their choosing. So yeah.
And how often are the apprentices coming into the shop? Like, is this like an everyday thing after school, or is this like 3 times a week?
It's in the evening. It's from 3:15 to 6:15 because some of them are still in school. And the first crew meets Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then my crew meets Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So there's that overlap on Wednesday, and that's when we do a lot of field trips or have people come in and speak or do more group lessons that so they can really interact and discuss and get each other's opinion on things.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
nice. So I mean, that switchover sounds like it was very like, you get older students, you get to really see them through like a very long progression, which is almost the opposite of Zoom teaching of like, you never got to meet them.
Right.
And now you get to spend, maybe up to 2 years with them.
Right.
So that's really cool.
Right. Exactly.
So you mentioned that you always were sort of interested in carpentry. But it sounds like you went to school for youth education, being a teacher. When did that when did you know, like, hey, I think this is what I want to do? Was that something you always felt, or was that something you kind of fell into? How did that look?
Yeah. So I actually went to school not knowing what I wanted to go in for. And then I wanted to go for art. And then I was almost done with my art thing and I hurt my back and I was going to be a ceramicist. So that didn't really pan out. And then I was like, well, let's try this teaching thing because I love languages. And I wanted to be a French teacher because I had taken a lot of French. And it's so weird. But I took a year off and I went and taught in France. I taught English for a while and also took a lot of classes in French and was immersed in the French language and culture. And while I was there, I discovered that I really liked teaching. I was like, all right, let's do this. And it was a program that my university kind of had a partnership with, like a trade with. And yeah, it was a really great experience. And I was young and it was kind of like in Europe, they call it their gap year.
Yeah.
But I was still kind of working and just able to meet a lot of new people and like be in a place that I had never been. I had been in Minnesota all my life. So
yeah, that's quite the difference to grow up in Minnesota and then do a whole year in France and teaching and stuff like that. And then it looks like you also did some stuff in New Zealand. Tell me about that.
Yeah, after I came back, I took the vein of learning how to teach, and we had to do our student teaching. And you have the opportunity to like literally do it in town or, somewhere kind of nearby. And then but there was also this trade again with New Zealand. And I was like, I'm going, I'm out. I'm never going to otherwise probably go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so I did it and I arrived and it was at an elementary school and I got to live with some of the teachers and I kind of bopped around to different teachers' houses while I was there for 3 months. And yeah, I just got thrown in and I loved it. And I want to go back. One of my coworkers just came back from there.
Yeah.
They had spent a couple months hiking one of the trails there.
Wow.
And I was like, tell me all about it. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Yeah. Well, you could build urban surfboards in
New
Zealand. There you go.
Exactly.
You can just go there and redo the whole thing. What the work-life balances between the U.S., New Zealand, and France? Talk to me about that.
Right. Yeah, because I have actually been with teachers in all of these countries.
Yeah.
And followed them around or done the teaching. So in France, never have it taught. Now looking back at it, I was like, oh, we got 2 weeks off there. Oh, we got an hour and a half for lunch and I went home. Everybody went home.
That's crazy.
To do what they needed to do or eat.
Yeah. The U.S. is you get 30 minutes and most people work straight through it anyway.
Yeah, at their desk. Exactly. Or whatever. And we got so much vacation time. And if you were sick, I even got on their medical plan because I was there for so long.
Yeah.
You didn't have to worry about it. And even before that, if I needed to go to the doctor, I was used to US, so I didn't go to the doctor when I was sick. And I was like, I'm gonna have to pay for it. It's gonna be expensive. I'll just go to the pharmacy and grab some medicine and try to talk to them in French, whatever. And that was a little difficult, especially when you're sick and your brain isn't so on. But near the end, I went and I was like, oh, this is such a relief not to have to worry about going to the doctor. And I did take a lot of train trips around. Because we had so much time off.
Right.
And for young people there, the train is also, you get a huge discount. So to travel, and the hostel situation there is great. We don't really have that in US like we do over there. We have Airbnb, but if you're traveling alone as a backpacker, kind of have to have a car or take the bus or train is not as convenient because once you get off in certain cities, if they're smaller, you have to Uber or walk and so they're just being able to take that train and the ease of getting around on your breaks too was really cool. And then in New Zealand, it was much more chill, that thing you hear about people wearing no shoes and walking around town and just the whole atmosphere was just more fun and I feel like people understood people's needs more in some ways. if that makes sense. Like if someone needed something or like asked for something, they would not really be questioned as much as you might be here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like if they needed a day off to go do something, or if and there was cultural things too there because I work with Maori people, and so if they needed someone passed away happened while I was there, they were like knew the expectations for how long they needed off.
Oh, okay.
And things, so
yeah, it's not like your dad died. You get a half a day off. It's like a real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Like it's what you kind of hear. Like there's a reason that they say like it's more chill down there because it is. It literally is.
Yeah.
And where was I going with this? Oh gosh, I had a like thing that I was gonna say. So when you feel that you're being supported in like your time off there, or you had more time off, when it was time to work, I feel like people were a bit more focused too.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't so as much busy work per se. It was like, okay, now we're on. We are working through this. We're getting it done, and everyone was much more present. Also,
yeah. I think like yesterday or today I was looking at a Reddit thread, so not a like real source. I didn't look at I didn't look at their sources, but
sometimes people are more honest in that
for
way
sure. But it was someone had done the calculation of working 4 days a week rather than 5 days a week, and it was like I think it was typically if you work 5 days a week, you really get, I think it was like 4.2 hours of work done in an 8-hour workday. It was like, that's really how much productive time you have.
Yeah.
But in a 4-hour or a 4-day week, it went up to like 6 hours a day. So it was like you actually get, even though you're working one less day, you actually get more productive hours out of a 4-day work week rather than a 5-day work week. So I think, I feel like I heard this years ago and I was like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. Like we are for sure going to see a 4-day work week, soon-ish.
It's imminent. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my perspective of the culture in the US is that everybody is always 40% working, but very rarely are you like 100% working or 100% not working.
Right.
And at least that's how I feel. And I think that's just in cultures, it sounds like in New Zealand, it's more like, hey, there's a very clear split here of like, I'm definitely not working, but when I am working, you do have 100% of my attention because I'm not as worried about like all these other things that I need to get done.
Yeah. And then the conflict in that as a teacher is you have young people that might have some needs. They're coming from a lot of personalities and they're young and they're depending on you. And so you also feel like you have to be on it.
Yeah.
And so then that's when the burnout happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. Well, it sounds like you do a lot. I'm sure that this gets very tiring. And it seems like you don't have as many breaks in the US as you had in other countries. What keeps you going when you're just like, wow, I do not want to do this?
Yeah, it is those young people depending on me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I always joke like, with my partner, I'm like, I don't want to get up. You can't make me go to school.
Yeah.
When I'm, sometimes we have those days.
Totally.
And I've learned sometimes that, take a mental health day and rely on my coworkers. But when I know I can do it and I can go there, it's like, just because I want to see their faces and I know they want to talk to me and learn. And I also want to be there. Now that I work in a wood shop too, it's just such a much more lighter atmosphere.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What are some career highlights? So now you've been working on the program coordinator side for a year now.
Yeah.
So have you had any students graduate? What have been some like highlights of yours?
Yeah, I did. So I when they had graduation or they have a fundraiser and they ask for someone to speak, that's happened a couple times, and they mentioned me. I'm like, my heart is fluttering. Like it's just like, thanks, Bri, and I'm like, yep, I got you. And
I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a highlight for sure. And they don't know how much it means sometimes, which is cool, and sometimes they do, and that's cool too. Some other highlights too is like finding this balance where I can both teach and do something that's super interesting with my hands. and like making that connection because I didn't have that before. One thing I really like about teaching is creating curriculum, I found out, and doing research. And so I got to create a unit. That was another highlight, is creating a unit about like Native American Minnesota history for fourth graders. And then having a lot of my coworkers use it and getting to train them in on this like mini unit. And I really enjoyed that. And I found out that I like tying things together and creating things for other people in that way. But now I get to create curriculum, teach, and do woodshop. And just like finding that balance is really like
that's
inspiring
awesome
for my creativity and work. So
yeah, a lot of different things that fill your cup for sure. And just a little bit of paperwork.
Yeah.
Just an I-9 every once in a while.
Exactly.
It's not, actually, it's not that bad. They've made I-9 so easy now for us at least. I switched to QuickBooks recently.
Yeah.
And it's just like online. Self I-9. I'm like, yes, self I-9.
Yeah,
don't make that my problem.
Onboarding has an online version too, and it's like, please choose that one so it gets done super quick.
Yes,
and
for sure.
It's so true.
What are some unexpected things about your day-to-day that you ended up liking more than you expected?
So when I first got into teaching, I guess it's that, like I mentioned, the making of the curriculum and thinking and pulling apart lesson plans. And so teaching, when you're creating curriculum, especially for young people, it's actually harder to build a lesson for a beginner than someone who has more experience, like a middle schooler or high schooler. And because they have no background knowledge of maybe that topic, like fractions or some portion of history. They've never heard of it. And so you really have to think about what's the most wholesome way to frame this so it connects to their daily life or in their life in some way, so that it's more memorable for them. It makes more sense. And it's like the foundation, right? You're building that foundation. And so pulling stuff apart and really thinking about it and then putting it all back together and actually like, what are you doing that day? And what are you going to hopefully get across, and how are you going to use your visuals, and what are you going to have them talk about and read and things? That was surprisingly enjoyable, that curriculum making. So
yeah,
it was like a challenge, but it was an adventure into what I really thought to and what I knew. Because I was like, I don't know this. I'm going to go on whatever and go find all this research and talk to people and do some reading. And it was like a deep dive into things that really made me question how I was taught too.
Yeah.
So I was like, why was I never told this like key step? And I like want to share this amazing knowledge with them now, because it makes so much more sense, and it brought it all around more.
Yeah. I think it is super fascinating about, like, as a kid, I was not a math person. Like I was and as a kid, I was very much like kind of told, like, you're either a math person or you're not. And if you're not a math person, you're probably a language arts person or a history person. Like you're left-brained or right-brained or whatever they use for that, which I'm sure there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But then as I got into high school, I was like, man, I'm just not a math person. Like just kind of chalked it up to like, I just don't like it.
Right.
And then later on when I was in college, I had a friend tell me, like, you're going to love college math. And I was like, that's crazy. No, I'm not.
That's the hard stuff. I'm not going to like that.
Yeah. And her point was essentially that, like, hey, people can't argue with you about math. Like, you are right or you are wrong. So you might like language arts now or whatever it is because you get along with your teachers and you can argue with them and you can, like, have a different point of view or whatever. But in college, like, it's much easier to get an A on math and know for sure you got an A. You can walk out of there and be like, I got an A on that test.
Yeah.
Whereas a paper that you write, it's so subjective. Like, you just... whatever your professor thinks is what they think, and there's really no arguing with them. So I learned that, which it turned out to be very true for me.
Yeah.
And then I also learned that you put dollar signs in front of that math, suddenly I'm very good at it. I was like, oh, okay, so this is how compounding interest works. Like, got it. So really when I'm looking into, okay, so I should, like, I was like, that's okay, amazing. This makes perfect sense. And I had a professor come up to me and he was like, have you considered changing your major? Like, you're really good at this. And I was like, no, I was like, I'm not good at math. And he was like, well, your grade would disagree. Like, you are quite good at this. I was like, oh, okay. Like, but you put a dollar sign in front of it. So
motivation.
So there you go.
All of a sudden it's sparkly.
Yeah. All of a sudden it makes sense to me. So I do think it's interesting that like, yeah, like, you know, not that I blame any teacher, but like, I do think that as a kid, if I hadn't been told like, yeah, you're just not a math person, like that might have changed how I viewed it. And I just kind of chalked it up to be like, C is the best I'm going to get. And that's passing. And I'm good with that.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, it's those passing comments that can do a lot of damage, unfortunately. And I had a teacher too that was like really strict in science. And I'm like, I'm not a science person because we just butted heads over so many things. And so similar.
Yeah.
Like a teacher can make a difference.
Yeah.
In how you view yourself. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, good and bad, right? Like I've certainly had amazing teachers that like really injected self-confidence into me that, you know, I never knew I could have. Any unexpected things that you don't like? Any things that like you were like, I'm going to love this part of the job. And then you were like, oh my God, there's sawdust everywhere.
With instructing, I would say I found out, I should have found this out while I was doing my teaching in France, but I didn't. It was all about like, it's more of being on stage almost.
Yeah.
And I am more introverted and don't like public speaking. I have fear of public speaking, which is hilarious that I'm a teacher. I have a huge fear of that. And I found out that I have a fear of public speaking when it's adults or people that are not there to necessarily like learn something from me.
Okay.
But when I'm in teaching mode and I have it, and I'm going to build this like learning relationship that we're going to learn from each other. And there's this like atmosphere. I have like, I can be myself and be like totally comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, but I did find out that it's more draining for me personally because it's almost like being on stage. Sometimes when I don't have that, I have those days that I'm not as motivated to be on stage. So it's more presenting and getting attention than I expected.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Yeah. I find I have trouble public speaking to my peers, but anyone older or younger than me, I'm good.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, people who I like kind of am like, okay, you're my age, you're my equals. Like, I think it came from years of working at an escape room. And then I would be there on like Friday, Saturday night. And I would kind of feel like, oh, like we're the same age. Yeah. We probably make a similar amount of money, like whatever. But like, I'm serving you. Like I'm here on my Friday and Saturday night. You're out having fun with your friends. Okay. So I think that felt a little uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But like growing up, I was like, no problem talking in front of people, like whatever it was. And then it just came, I was like, oh, that's why that is. Like, okay, I don't really like the 20 somethings that are my age that I'm like, you get to have fun with your friends on Friday night and I'm here working. So, but I'm about to lock you in a room. So you're okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Bye. Yeah.
Let's talk about nonprofits and money. Yeah. So you have chosen to work in nonprofits pretty much your whole life. Have you ever considered working for a for-profit because of the paid difference that typically comes with program coordinator? If you were program coordinator for a for-profit, I don't know exactly what the dollar amount difference is, but I'm sure there is one.
Oh yeah.
And like, how do you battle with that?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question because there is that pay difference, and it does bother me. It bothers me that teachers aren't paid as much as other countries also, just in general. But I haven't really ever thought about going for a for-profit company. I haven't, I'm lucky enough that I don't have to consider that. I will say that. I have a partner who can support me right now.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that, then I would be struggling. I would be struggling real bad. But what attracts me to a job is not, it's like what their mission statement is more and what I see them produce. And with teaching and these public service roles and like nonprofits and stuff, that's what I wouldn't be able to do I would be able to do the work like if I was a curriculum designer or something, or things like that. But I just am attracted to that group, I guess, of people that work in nonprofits. I don't know is my answer. I'm more of an artist brain, so I don't really think about money. I don't budget. Even
All right. Well, we all have our things.
So I'm very lucky in that aspect, I will say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It does definitely feel like nonprofit attracts people who are much more mission oriented. And I also think that what I heard you say is that the variety attracts you. You like that you can do the curriculum design, you can do the hands-on with the apprentices, and you can do some of those partnership things still and all that kind of stuff. And you get to do woodworking. Like, you know, my sense is that if you were to dive into the for-profit world, you'd probably have to pick one of those things, right? You're probably not going to find a for-profit equivalent that lets you do all of that, other than like I'm a startup person, and that's one reason I love startups is that like I can do everything.
Yeah, the problem solving is nonstop.
Exactly. The problem solving is nonstop. It's like, okay, one day I'm working on budgets and the next day I'm welding something like fabricating something together. So it's like, I do think, mission driven for sure. And then being able to do a bunch of different things. And like, I also think nonprofits are usually small. Obviously there's the massive ones out there. But you know,
ours is smaller.
Here's the pun. You get to steer the boat.
Yeah.
With Urban Boatbuilders, you get to really like have a hand in what you guys do.
It's so true. I think even when I was, one reason I did move to the less paperwork and more boat building and wood shop stuff is I did have a little bit of micromanaging even happening in teaching, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Yep, let's see what's next.
Yeah.
And that does kind of grind my gears. It's one of my pet peeves. Yeah.
If you weren't doing this, what do you think you would be doing?
Probably doing art.
Okay.
Yeah, in some capacity. I still like making things with my hands, whether it's making furniture, I like doing beading. I like doing ceramics now that my back is a little healthier. I've gotten back into that. But I've always had that artistic pull.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you consume a lot of woodworking content? Like, are you on YouTube? Like I love woodworking content. I don't do a lot of woodworking in my day to day, but for whatever reason, like I love to watch your little joinery videos. I want to know what are we doing here?
Yeah. When I was learning more about like all these tools, and people were constantly like teaching me about the tools, and I was getting my first couple of years in the wood shop. Definitely. Now I'm like, I don't have as much time and I can just go out and do it, you know? So I don't watch them as much, but I like watching ceramics YouTubers and stuff like that, and all these tips and tricks. And, I do like, intake of all that stuff is high on my list for sure. Watching other people make stuff.
Totally. Yeah. It's interesting that sometimes I can scratch the itch. I'm like, I don't need to do it myself. I'll just watch you do it, and that's okay.
Yeah. One thing too about the nonprofit stuff and the money, I was thinking, also like you should get paid for nonprofits and for-profit jobs. I feel like they should be whatever community they're in, whatever location, neighborhood the actual location is in, they should be reflective of each other, similar at least. And so sometimes I don't see that, and sometimes I do. And anyway, just like a thought I had.
I was interviewing somebody else she's an executive at a nonprofit, and I brought up, I should have looked it up in the meantime, but there's a great TED Talk about how often these reports come out about this nonprofit where they say, oh, they spent 10% of their budget on programming and 90% of their budget on admin, and then people are like, well, I don't want to donate to that because I want my money essentially to go to the programming, right? Like, right. And when people think about it, my perception is they think about it like, okay, well, now all of my money is going into this executive director's pocket, and this 10% is going to the food that I thought that I was providing to the kids in Africa, or whatever, whatever the mission of that nonprofit might be. And I think 90-10 is an unreasonable split.
Yeah.
But the point of this person talking was saying like, hey, that's a horrible way to like decide where your money should go and decide how people should get paid. Of like, hey, if you're hiring someone who can be more effective, they should get paid more. No matter nonprofit, for-profit, anything. Like nonprofits, I think, unfortunately underpay. I mean, I'm pretty sure they always underpay, and therefore they might not attract top talent, and therefore they maybe can't be as effective. And this person was basically arguing against that and saying like, hey, no, like you should pay them what they're worth so you can get people who are really good, because ultimately that will drive the mission of your nonprofit, regardless of what your split is. Like,
and even though only 10% of the money might be going directly to the thing, all the background work that needs to have that happen and be more and more effective. Okay, I kind of see where you're going with that. Like, even though people might get paid more that are working there, it'll draw people that will be more effective. Okay.
Yeah. So ultimately the impact is still greater, but it's just like, I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, well, I don't want my money to go there. Like, I don't want my money to do that thing. And like I said, I think 90-10 is an unreasonable split, but there are like, I mean, I think these reports just come out because all that information is typically public of like, hey, how much did this nonprofit spend on this thing?
Or should be.
It should be. So I think people then get the wrong idea of like, hey, what is the point of me giving my money to this thing? So I don't know. It was a fascinating TED Talk to watch.
Yeah. I'll have to catch that one. Do you remember the name by chance?
I don't right now, but okay. I will definitely send it to you, and I'll include it in the episode notes if I remember.
Thank you.
You get to work with a bunch of young people outside of like nonprofit leadership, just kind of generally speaking, like, and these young people, I'm sure you can kind of pick out like, okay, this one is really good at this and they're probably going to succeed in this way, or this one's really good at this. Like, what are some traits that you're seeing in these young people that you're like, okay, like, do you rest easy at night with knowing that your future is in their hands? Like, and what kind of traits are you seeing that you're like, you're going to be a successful kid, or, grow on to be a successful adult?
So people that will probably make it might have ideas of like, or personality traits of being able to pay attention to details. I think people notice, you don't think, sometimes you can feel discouraged because you work so hard and then people don't even notice like some of the details that you did. But honestly, if you're doing that stuff, when you're about to get hired, sometimes people, or you mention small things in your interview, or you start doing those things, you might be surprised with who notices, honestly. And it also is more like, makes you feel more confident, I think, when you can do those things that are more detail oriented, honestly. And then also people that enjoy talking to others. That's a big thing, especially after COVID, even me and people that I know, like just being able to talk to others and not feel so shy or feel silly asking questions or things like that.
I think a post-COVID thing, I have seen quite a few TikToks recently just about like the value in small talk. And I am totally someone who's like, I will put my headphones on to go into the grocery store. Like, I don't wanna whatever, but it is more isolating. And I work very seasonally, so then in the winter I get like sad and lonely, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't have any, like I'm working from home by myself all day, every day. And then it becomes more important. But I think people do themselves a disservice when they shut themselves off from that kind of potential small talk. And like, I get it. Not every conversation is going to be life-changing, but every once in a while, like, hey, just talk to the person who's checking you out at the grocery store. Like, it's okay. It's fine. And I think people have just gotten more and more isolated, and they've gotten pickier maybe about their communities, which I think is good and bad. Yes, I want you to protect your peace and I want you to do that. But I also think that if you surround yourself completely with like-minded individuals, then you never get to see another perspective and you never get to hear about anything else. And like, you need to meet some adversity in your life to grow. Like, you just have to.
Right. You got to make those mistakes. No one else can make them for you.
100%.
And it's, even though it puts you out of your comfort zone, and it might make you exhausted
Absolutely.
to speak in public or even just approach that stranger. I feel it too. I found like to even connect with my coworkers who are not in my vein necessarily and have that small talk, we can call on each other. And when I'm like, hey, I have a question about this, and they're like, oh yeah, I can help you with that. And I was like, I was not asking for help, but thank you.
Yeah.
And so having that like just background to be able to talk to each other and ask random questions really does help. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, that rapport building, I think, is super critical. I always think of like socializing for me as very delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And my fiance will say it all the time because we'll be about to walk out the door. I'll be like, I don't want to go. And then she's like, when we come home, you're going to be so happy that you went. It's like, yeah.
Same.
All right. Fine. But it does, I mean, obviously helps immensely to have someone around me that will consistently remind me of that. And like, just like, hey, go. Like if you're really sick or whatever, you're not feeling well, like, stay home. Yeah. But if it's just like, oh, I don't want to leave, that delayed gratification, I think is very critical.
Yep, for sure.
Let's rewind 10, 15 years at the start of your career, whenever that may have been, an unnamed number of years. What would you have liked to tell yourself?
When people make decisions in work, don't take it so personally. It's not because of something based on your personality. It's just like they made a decision, and don't get discouraged because of that. It's not your fault. It's just don't take it personally, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, I learned that a lot in different small ways.
Yes.
Because it can be so self-defeating so quickly.
I do think that's also like working in a nonprofit, but especially working in a small company, it feels like everything is like, every decision feels like it could be personal because you probably personally know the person who made the decision. Where it's like, hey, this isn't coming from some far off CEO that's never met me before. It's like, hey, you work in office next to mine. Like,
yeah,
what
exactly.
the heck?
Yeah, for sure, it can happen.
If you were talking to a 16-year-old, which I'm sure you do a lot, and thinks they want to be you when they grow up, what would you tell them?
Me? That's what I would say first.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? No. But yeah, what would I say to them? I would say to them that just go with what you are like, what feels natural to you. If something attracts you for a certain reason, and that's probably because that belongs to, like, that's you. And try not to fight it and see where you go with it. So yeah.
All right. Are you encouraging most of your apprentices? You talked a little bit about trades and getting them into trades. Is there a typical, like, hey, we encourage you to go to a 4-year university, we encourage you to go to a 2-year school, we encourage you to jump straight into the trades? Is there a kind of, or is it all case by case basis?
Because we're smaller, it's a case by case. We rely a lot on our field trips or presenters to kind of be like, hey, I want you to contact me, say that to our apprentices, give them the contact information, and then we'll check in on them occasionally. Because everyone's going to go a different vein. Every apprentice is going to find something in their own vein. But we rely a lot on those next step people so I can focus on what I need to do.
Yeah.
To contact and make sure it happens. We just check in and say, hey, did you ever talk to that person?
Yeah.
And if they say no, we'll be like, hey, do you want me to sit down and call them with you? And we'll see if you're still interested, and get some more information and stuff like that. But we kind of let them, because they are adults, like definitely like take that next step, and we want them to do that. We just want to provide them the small things to push them towards that.
Yeah. And of the students who've graduated from the program, what are most of them leaning towards trades? Are most of them leaning towards 4-year schools? Like, do you see a kind of option that's more popular than others?
It's probably about half.
Okay.
We just had Minnesota training partnership come in yesterday and talk about 3 different free next steps, like a culinary program that's like a 2-year. There was a medical training program that was a 2-year just to get your foot in the door, and construction. And when the word free came up,
Yeah.
I saw some eyes sparkle in the crowd.
Yeah.
And they were like signing up, and what age do you have to be, and all this stuff. And and they were super engaging. And so they were able to hopefully take those next steps with them after they leave us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool.
Is there any advice you find yourself repeating often to your apprentices?
Ask questions. To me, to everybody else.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. And I'm going to ask you a lot of questions too, so you may as well feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. One of my cornerstones of like, all right, this person's going to be good is if they're curious. And that's like my personality trait that I always look for. And I think, I look for it for a lot of reasons, but I also think it's very hard to build. It's very hard to train into somebody if they're not naturally curious. Trying to build a sense of curiosity in them is extremely difficult. It totally can be done. Yeah. It totally can be done. But it is very hard. So when I interview somebody that's like done some research on me or on like, oh, the company you work for, you guys do this, this, and this, or like they immediately have questions. Like I ran an experiment where I didn't post a job description. I just posted an application. It was just a Google form, and it was very simple. It was first name, last name, your contact information, what hours are you looking to work, upload your resume. Yeah. And I was shocked at the amount of people that applied. I would call them and be like, all right, let's do an interview, do a quick phone interview, whatever. Yeah. And I was like, what job do you think you applied for? And they were like, I don't know. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like you have no, and I didn't put the pay rate on there. And some of them were just like,
they're just so
friends of my employees that were like, oh, I know so-and-so who works for you. So I know XYZ about the job, whatever. Yeah. Which is great. Love the referrals. But at the same time, I was just shocked at the amount of kids that were just like, yeah, I don't know. I just applied for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then occasionally, like, they would not even, I'd be like, all right, do you have any questions? I'd be like, no. And I was like,
I'm ready to start.
Do you know? You don't even know what you're going to be doing. And they're like, they have a vague sense because obviously our website is like an adventure park, whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, you could be cleaning all day. Yeah. That's what you could be doing. Like that could be a thing. And they're just like,
or you could be on the phone all day, or you could be whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. So just that's
an interesting experiment.
Yeah. I was like, let's do some curiosity here. Yeah. So then for me, it made it very easy because the people who asked me questions like, hey, what is this job? I think as I get older, I recognize that I get a little more intimidating to 16-year-olds who are often applying to jobs. So I think I was like, hey, you have some chutzpah to like ask me that, right? Like they were like, so what is this job? Yeah. So I was like, A, that tells me that you're not afraid to ask me a question, which is wonderful. Yeah. And B, like you actually care about what you might be or might not be doing for this job that pays you minimum wage. Like yes. You're gonna spend a summer with me. I would hope that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I would probably add that curiosity to the indicator too. I just didn't think of it, but yeah. That's a cool, like I like that you're like putting the feelers out and you're not afraid to do that kind of stuff. You're like, we're doing it.
Yeah. It was honestly, I think I did it without even realizing it. And then someone was like, hey, what is this job? And I was like, oh my God, there's not a job description on the posting. Let's
see what happens.
And I think for me, we just get so many referrals that very rarely do I actually get a cold application. And then I just needed to have a place so people weren't just texting and emailing me and I was going to lose them. So I was like, just put your info in here and then I have it on file.
Yeah. Similar. Yeah. We get a lot of applicants from people that were like, you need to do this because it will fit you.
Yeah. How many applicants are you guys getting? Like, so you open up a cohort. Yeah. Right. And then you got to narrow it down to 24.
Yeah. So there is that carryover. So like, for example, in the summer, more busy than during the fall and spring sessions. Summer, we got like 80 applicants for 4 spots.
Wow.
It was harsh.
That's tough.
It was harsh. But now in the fall here, when things picked up a little bit more, I think we had 64 for 10, so that was a little better. But still, like
it's
it's like
yeah.
heartbreaking because you want to hire so many and you only have that many spots. So
yeah, are you the picker? Like, are you and your counterpart? You guys are the
we interview and
full stop,
and we interview everybody.
Okay,
Yeah, because we want to give them that first interview possibility of like, and it's Zoom or in person. So,
yeah. It's always good. I've started giving more feedback to the people I don't hire to be like, hey, this was probably your first interview.
Yeah.
Here are some things that you said that you maybe should reconsider.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should.
And sometimes they're like a really good candidate, but they're just not they don't qualify because they're not the right age or something. Sure. And I'm like, please reapply when you fit the demographics that we need. Yeah.
For sure.
Because we do rely on grants and they have certain rules.
Yes.
Get people paid.
Yeah. Any thoughts of adding a third section? I mean, that's a lot of applicants.
That would be cool. We just don't have the time and space in our wood shop.
Yeah.
Because of the 3-day and the 3-day.
Yeah.
And then we also have programming in the morning.
Okay.
And we just don't literally have the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Because we would be too many people in our small little shop.
Yes. Yeah. How big is your shop?
I don't know the square footage, but it's about, how do I say it then? I don't even know.
I know how, I mean, I would guess it's 4 or 5 times the size of this room.
At least 6 probably. And we also have like our air intake system that's taking up a huge portion. We have a CNC machine in there. We got offices in there.
Okay. You're looking at probably probably 3,000-4,000 square feet for your whole building.
Yeah, I should know.
So,
and then we have to store all our boats that we finished and haven't sold yet.
Yeah.
And they're all on the ceiling and they're on racks, and that takes up actually quite a bit of room. It's surprising. And then we have like a lounge area for eating.
So the boats get sold.
Kitchen. Yep.
Who buys these boats typically?
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of funny the other day or yesterday. One of the apprentices go, "Hey, why do we have like a sandwich sign that says canoes for sale?" And we literally put it out. We get people that just walk by,
just walk in,
and we've had people from Canada come drive down one time and visit and buy a boat. But a lot of it's just local people that want to buy a boat for themselves or for. They've always wanted one for a gift for someone, like a wedding or whatever, something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fun thing to hear is when they come back and they're like, everybody was asking me about this boat, because when you're in the boat, it has fabric on the outside. It's ballistic nylon and you can see through it slightly. Slightly.
Yeah.
And so when you're in the water, there's like, you can see the water rippling alongside you. And it's just really, it's made out of wood and fabric and some rivets. And it's just very dynamic looking. So it's fun when they come back and tell you how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. But thank you.
Okay.
And we have all our boats posted on our website.
Okay. which I'm sure is Urban Boat Builders. Is it .org or .com?
.org.
.org. Okay. Yeah. So if you're local, will you guys ship?
No.
All right.
You have to come get your boat.
Take a road trip. If you're not from here, take a road trip to Minnesota. You could pick one up on your way up to the Boundary Waters and then just maiden voyage in the Boundary Waters.
Actually, yes.
That'd be crazy. I can't imagine doing the Boundary Waters with not a carbon fiber boat.
Oh, okay.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
I did a couple trips as a kid with an aluminum canoe.
Sure.
And that was like...
Those are heavy. Yeah. Heavy duty.
They're heavy. And I definitely also was that kind of kid that I was like, I'm strong enough to do this by myself. And so I would just like struggle down the path.
Like the portage.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, I'm fine. Nobody help me. I'm fine.
And actually we did a weight test for the same length boat and ours were lighter than Kevlar.
Really? Wow.
Just putting that out there.
Okay.
It's 35 pounds for a 17 and a half footer. So.
I think that's an important note to make.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing a guide for the Boundary Waters next week. So I'm super excited to talk to him and just be like, how did you even get into this?
Yeah.
Like, that sounds really, really cool. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. I'm in Guatemala right now. And I was like, well, I'm going to have some questions about that.
About that too.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So tell me everything. Cool.
I'm excited. I want to listen to some of your other podcasts and learn a little bit more about you, but I don't want to waste your time.
Oh, you're not wasting time. If you want, if you have questions, fire away.
Well, I don't know if I have any questions, but just I kind of was wondering like why the podcast vein?
It's a good question. Over a YouTube channel, over a radio show. Like, what other options were you considering?
No, just why, what made you be like, yeah, I'm going to talk to people. What made you venture in that direction?
Yes. So I have been on this journey of trying to help people figure out what they want to do with their lives for about 4, almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And it really stemmed from me being dumb and doing something that I didn't want to do, because everyone was like, grow up and get a real job. And also because I was like, oh, this is just what I should do. And the internship or the volunteer route never occurred to me. And I was like, wow, if I had just volunteered, I would have figured out really quickly that I don't like this. Like, it would have taken me a very short amount of time to be like,
2 days, done.
I don't want to do this ever. So I ended up being in a job that I absolutely hated for like a year and a half.
Sure.
And then I was like, this is just a me problem. This is just like a very classic, I jumped into something without really thinking about it. Like, I'm very stubborn, just like, this is what I want to do. And nobody was going to talk me out of it. And then I was going to school part-time. I think I was technically going to school full-time, but I was going to a community college. So it was like very flexible. Sure. And then I finally was like, okay, at school, they didn't like kick me out, but they were like, hey, you got your associate's degree. Like, it's time to move on. And I was like, what?
I love school.
That's crazy. I did love school. I mean, like, being an older college student, I think is super underrated because like your ability to connect what the real world is like with what is happening in the classroom, like, just gets so much stronger. And like, you have a better filter. I at least had a better filter of like, this is going to matter or it's not going to matter. And like, if it's not going to matter, I'm still going to bother learning it for the sake of the class. Yeah. But generally speaking, like, I have a pretty good sense that like, I don't have to ever worry about this. And like, this is just not like, I think about all the kids that always say like, when am I ever going to have to use the hypotenuse of blah, 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 blah. And like, unfortunately, like, life is a series of hoops you have to jump through. And like, some of those hoops are enjoyable and some of them aren't. And some of them are worth doing and some of them aren't. And like, you learning the hypotenuse of a triangle and how to find that is like a hoop you have to jump through. Sorry. Yep. It just is what it is. I'm not telling you that you're going to use it every day for the rest of your life. I'm telling you it's a hoop you have to jump through for the next probably week. Like, let's be real. Like, you learn it, you take your unit test on a Friday, you're done. Yep. Whatever. So anyway, in that time I went to St. Thomas and I worked for their career development center. And that was basically like help kids with their resumes, help them interview, help them kind of like do all that kind of stuff. Which I had freakishly gotten kind of good at. Like, and then part of it was just being older where I was like, I have a resume. I have shit to put on my resume, which for a lot of college students is like kind of hard. Yeah,
I was just researching because we teach a resume unit, and I'm like functional versus like cumulative, and what's best for who, and
yes. And so I started meeting with a bunch of students that were like, "Oh, I just did my internship," which for St. Thomas and most 4-year schools is done between your junior and senior year. So they would come to me and they'd be like, "Hey, I hated it," and I was like, "Cool, I'm not qualified to like tell you what to do now."
Sure.
But okay. So I just kind of started taking stock of like, okay, maybe this is not a me problem. Maybe this is kind of like an everyone problem. Maybe this is like a systematic issue.
And the question just isn't being asked and people aren't talking about it. Yeah.
And there's, I think, another really important trend that I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed this with some of your people too, your apprentices. So many of these students were pushed to do so many PSEO credits when they were in high school because it makes college cheaper, which is true and a great program, and I'm happy it exists. But then they would get to school, they would do orientation, and then they would be effectively considered a sophomore or a junior, which means, hey, pick your major right now.
Okay, yeah.
You don't have any time to play and figure out like, oh, I'm going to take a class over here, I'm going to take a class over here, I'm going to take this class. Like, and put it all together.
College is the time to explore a little bit if you're there. Yeah.
But if college costs you $70,000 a year, then like you're kind of on the clock, dude. Like,
Yep.
sorry. So I think that was a really big trend where I was like, I think people should do internships, or they should like adopt the European model of like take a gap year. And when I was growing up, gap years were very like rich kid stuff. Like that was like what rich kids did. And
I wouldn't have done it if that program hadn't been mentioned to me.
100%.
Yeah.
So trying to get students to say, I'm going to take a gap year, but really what I'm going to do is do a bunch of internships or do a bunch of job shadowing in that time. And then it kind of occurred to me that like students don't know how to do, like as an 18-year-old, like you don't know how to have these conversations with people and pull the information that you actually want to know out of them.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's really important. And for me, like I'm on the spectrum, so for me it's really important. Like what you wear is actually a critical thing to me. Like working in a professional job where I had to dress business casual wasn't like a burden. Like it was a real problem in my life.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people were like, oh, that's silly. Like what a silly problem to have. And as I got older and I actually had someone like diagnose me and they were like, yeah, dude, you're on the spectrum. That's why these things are not burdens to you. They are do or die to your brain. Like you really can't handle that. And I was like, oh, great. Well, that makes me feel better. Like I'm not, that's not just kind of being a baby. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, kind of all of those things accumulated to this. And then the adventure park that I run is, I'm going to call it on borrowed time. We're doing like fine financially, but we're on a plot of land that I know one day will get taken from us. And like at that point, we have both agreed that like we are not gonna try to start another paintball park on another plot of land.
Right.
Like we will.
It's gonna have to.
It's gonna go. So I'm well aware that like it could disappear. I mean, it's not going to disappear tomorrow. It, in theory, could disappear in the next 3 or 5 years to be like, hey, the last person who owns this piece of land died, and now they're selling it for parts, basically, and you can't afford it. So
and you're obviously like leasing or renting or whatever.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So I think that kind of was like, okay, well, if I want to help other people, a podcast is a great way to do it, to be like, hey, if you're 18 and you need to learn how to have these conversations, what better way than to listen to other people?
Okay.
And like, I grew up in Green Bay, which means that a lot of people around me were like teachers. They worked at a paper mill. I had what I would consider like run of the mill employees around me, where I was like, okay, these are my options for jobs. And then when I moved to Minnesota, I was like, oh my God, there's so much more out here. Like, in Minnesota has a ton of ad agencies, which to me was like, that is the coolest thing ever. Like you get to work on Super Bowl commercials. You get to come up with all these concepts. Like you get to run all these giant campaigns, like whatever. But if I hadn't moved to Minnesota, like maybe it would have dawned on me that like, oh, somebody has to do this. Like, but I probably would have assumed like, oh, it's in LA or New York.
Yeah.
Like
some huge, far off place.
Exactly. So I think learning that there is so much more out there that you probably haven't even considered. Like, I think your job is very unique to be able to do all three things that you love, and like you kind of get to meld them together and like make it what you want it to be, which I think is very unique. And like, and most people can't say that. Like I think we talked about being in the for-profit world of like, you would have to pick one of those things. And like, let's be real. Like if you worked in cabinetry and that was your job all day, every day, you might not love it that much. Right. And also like cabinetry is a great example, because you could own and operate a super high-end wood shop where you make furniture, I'm going to say mid-century modern,
specific,
whatever. Like you get to make the thing you want to make. Yeah. You are going to be poor until you figure it out, in which case then you'll be rich, which is great. But maybe you never figure it out. Or you could work in a manufacturing plant where you screw the same screw into the same hole 10,000 times a day.
Very repetitive,
Both would be considered woodworking. So like, but as an 18-year-old, if you're like, I like woodworking, well, where on that spectrum do you like?
Do you want the high risk or do you want the lower risk, and or something in the middle? Or
absolutely. And like, know that you can change it throughout your life. And I think that's something that's very important to me, is like, you can change it whenever you want. The better you are at changing your own life and looking at yourself and being like, these are the indicators that I'm not as happy as I think I am. the better off you will be.
Yeah.
Until you're 10 years down the road and you're like, wow, I've been miserable for 10 years. Holy cow.
I
Like,
could have been doing all this other stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't even know, because when you don't know to ask the question or what questions to ask, you don't know. Like,
absolutely.
you just don't have that background to
100%.
reflect off of. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can pick and like, I'm the only friend, me and one other guy in my friend group are the only two that work for for-profit companies. Everybody else is a teacher or some sort of whatever.
Yeah.
And I admire my friends so deeply because they do a great job. I think they have fulfilling jobs, generally speaking, but they do a really good job of looking outside of their work and figuring out what else is fulfilling to them and prioritizing those things. And I think that is super critical and a very underrated skill. And I think, like we talked about a little bit, of the delayed gratification of like picking up a project or picking up a hobby can seem very daunting, but like getting into it and really learning the payoffs of it, like, is so important. And my friends have gotten really, really good at that, which I think is really cool. Whereas I have a very fulfilling job, which is great because I am almost forced to be fulfilled.
You kind of have to be.
Like, it is what it is. And I'm very lucky that I have found that pretty early on in life. But in the times that I have been miserable, I made it my whole personality. I didn't know how to not be in that. It was 8 hours of my day, and yet it consumed the other, 16. Like, it was like...
Yeah. But also, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't even be able to recognize where you're at now.
Totally.
So there's that big contrast, even though it sucked to go through it.
Yes.
But yeah, you are very lucky to have that you have that now.
Yes. I think...
or not lucky, but you took that vein.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think, this suffering is critical. Like, as much as that sucks to say.
Hopefully not too much.
Hopefully not too much, but like, I am in close proximity to a handful of ultra wealthy people, and knowing how miserable they are because they have never suffered. Like, I think there's a big difference between suffering and misery. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
They have never suffered in their lives.
Okay.
And therefore they are miserable. Like,
yeah.
It's just because they were never forced to find themselves. They were never forced to find anything that they like to do.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, it reminds me of like eating ice cream for every meal.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds great. It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. And then suddenly you're like, but I don't want ice cream anymore. But what could be better? Yeah. Like, what could be better? Nothing. There's nothing better than ice cream for every day for every meal. There really isn't. Yeah. So it's like, what is there to strive towards?
Right. Oh, I like it.
So that's how we got here. I picked podcasting as a byproduct of like, I have a YouTube channel that's okay, but like...
Yeah, that was going to be I was wondering about that too.
I just started it. Really, this program is like designed to be similar to yours of like, I get a cohort of students, I will put them through internships, and I will mentor them to greatness, essentially.
Yes.
Obviously.
The ultimate goal.
And I had a lot of trouble getting people to like, when they go through your program, they're also going through school, or they're probably also doing something else. This is like, I'm taking you for a year of your life. And like,
we'll see what happens.
You are just and building trust around that turns out to be very difficult. Parents are like, I don't want to give you my kid for a year. It's like, okay, I get it. So it's kind of like, well, what if I just do it myself?
What age ranges do you have that you work with?
18 to 24.
Okay. Yeah.
I would do 17. I mean, like if high school graduated.
Yeah.
Okay, graduate high school, take a year off.
Yeah.
Figure out what it is.
Yeah. Are you trying to, in our U.S. way, kind of trying to instigate kind of that gap year a little bit? Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially, I call it a structured gap year. Nice. Of like, hey, this sure, it's a gap year and that it's a year that you're not going to school, but you are not sitting around playing video games. I'm not sending you to Europe for a year for $100,000. Like, sorry, you're gonna job shadow or intern or whatever.
You're gonna explore,
and you're gonna at least find things that you hate doing, which I think is as valuable as finding things that you love doing. But I think it's also like so critical to really drill down and like, what did you not like about that?
Yeah.
Like, be specific.
And even having someone ask you that question, because you might not ask that question until 10 years later.
Yeah, 100%.
Having that person ask that question makes you just be able to answer it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just at least think about it. Yeah. And like, hey, maybe you hate your coworkers, and like that means that this sector of work is still a viable option for you. Because coworkers are going to come and go.
Yep.
And they can totally make or break a job. 100%.
Yep.
Absolutely. But that doesn't mean, like, if that's the only thing that you didn't like about this, like, cool, then I think this is still an option for you.
Yep. Yep. Because you might get a totally different crew and fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other burning questions? I can edit all this out, so but anything.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.